Should you use AI to research and write your academic papers? Let's explore this question a little bit. So, as you might be aware, in the last few years, programs like ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence, highly intelligent programs have become very prominent in the world. And people have increasingly incorporated them in all sorts of services, products, and their day-to-day work. But should we use AI to research or to write our papers, especially in humanities? Personally, I will not recommend using AI to write a paper. And here is my main reason for it. When you write, you have your own distinct writing style. You also want to say certain things in a certain way. If you assign that task to the AI, yes, it can probably structure the paper for you and gives you chunk of information, but it cannot replicate your own voice. And as a scholar, one of the most important things that comes across in your individual writing style is your voice, and also how you want to frame a question and how you want to discuss it. So obviously, if you are more concerned, which you should be, of course, about having your own voice and arguing your point as you deem fit, philosophically, emotionally, intellectually, then AI cannot do that job for you. If you ask an AI tool to write your paper, give it the parameters, it might be able to spew out a paper, but it won't be the paper that you could have written with your experience, with your life, with your knowledge, with your thinking prowess. So, to be honest, it will literally take away your human voice and replace it with a machine-produced voice. So that's one reason I highly am skeptical of using AI for writing, especially in humanities. Now, another thing that bothers me and that I'm worried about is the originality of thought. Now, we all know that we live in a complex world, and most of what we think and do is contingent and sometimes overdetermined. But we as humans can take whatever knowledge is available and then think anew. We can think new concepts, we can think new ideas, we can extrapolate from the knowledge that we have and build new concepts, write about new things. That is because we as humans, as Noam Chomsky clearly pointed out, have this capacity to create. If we assign this task of writing to the AI, the question that we should be posing is, does the AI have the capacity to create, to think new ideas, to think new thoughts? I personally believe that it doesn't, because any artificial intelligence, when it answers our queries or questions, explores the available body of knowledge, collates it, chooses the best possible answer, arranges it, and gives it back to us. I don't see a possibility there where it could start theorizing and thinking new concepts. Maybe if it gets smarter, it can do that. But even then, the question is, do you want to assign what you think you want to say in the way you want to say it to a computer program. It's more of an ethical question, but also a question of protecting your own voice. Now, don't get me wrong, we all have been using AI for years. Every time you spell check a document, it's a computer program that's spell checking it for you. Every time you ask Microsoft Word to do something, check for grammar, for example, a computer program is doing that. But you never just tell Word to check your spell checks, right? Or your grammar and then approve it. You always use it as a tool to point to certain things that might be wrong with your text. And then you check the corrections and then accept or reject them. But even then, when you have finished a paper draft, the best way still is for you to read it from beginning to the end, go line by line, do a conceptual editing, and then do the line editing. And I don't think so there is a shortcut to that other than using the tools to help us do the basic work and not the ultimate, more sophisticated work of editing or writing. Now, there are a lot of dangers in the spread of AI so quickly. I now have heard of programs that can very easily put together your literature review for social sciences, right? You give it the parameters, it pulls the articles and literally writes your literature review. Maybe you can use it as a tool to generate a literature review. But what's the purpose of that? Why do we write a literature review? We write a literature review. I mean, I have never done it because I was trained differently, but in social sciences and in history, people write a literature review to give an overview of what they have read about the theory or the philosophy that they are using, what's their understanding of it, and how would they apply it to their analysis. That's the purpose of literature review. In sciences, literature review basically tells the reader, this is the research that has been done about this field previously. Here are my opinions about that. Here are the major people who have done that research. And now we are building on that. A literature review presupposes that you have read the literature that you are reviewing. So the danger is, if you ask the AI to write your literature review and just take it and tag it on to your chapters, then you have not really trained yourself as a scholar, right? Your thought has not developed. Your critical capacities have not developed. And since you didn't read the body of work that you are offering as your literature review, your analysis obviously is going to be not really very well informed or well argued. Now, I've heard from teachers that students have started turning in papers that were written by AI. But most of the feedback is that those end up being terrible papers. And most importantly, they read like bland papers and there is no authorial voice in them. So I think there are positive usages of AI. It can answer a lot of our questions. We can look up things just like we do on the internet, right? On Google, on Wikipedia. It can be a good starting point. You know, there is a concept you want to know about. You can give it the query and you immediately get an explanation of that concept. You read it. Maybe it will give you some works to read as well. But to develop yourself as a scholar, you will have to go beyond the AI and go and read. For example, if I were to put in my phone or on my computer, what is discourse? Now ChatGPT is going to pull Hayden White, Foucault, and others, and maybe the concept of discourse from linguistics. from communication and give me an overview of what is discourse. But I am mostly interested in how Foucault theorizes discourse. Maybe I can ask a more focused question, and let's say it gives me an explanation of Foucault's discussion of the discourse. But that doesn't make me an expert or doesn't give me the kind of understanding I need to use the Foucauldian concept of discourse in my scholarship. So I can use it as a starting point, but then go and read Archaeology of Knowledge, right? Read other works of Michel Foucault, then read critiques of Foucault's work or elaborations of his work, and then maybe someday I will develop a clear understanding of discourse. That's how knowledge building works. That's how scholarship works. So I would say, as a concluding remark, that yes, there is no harm in using AI in structuring a paper or asking it a few questions, getting to know concepts. But if you want to do serious scholarship, which has your authorial voice, your opinions, and your ideas about the world, about the literary texts, then you will have to do what most of the people have done historically. Sit down, do your research, write the paper, revise it, edit it, polish it. It's hard work, but in the process, you will learn new things, but you will also produce new knowledges which AI cannot do. So that's all. Not a really thorough understanding of AI, but just my basic ideas and how I think about it. Let me know what you think. Have you encountered someone who has used it and turned in a paper, or have you used it yourself? Share what your experience was. I'll be grateful to hear your views. Stay safe, take care of each other, and I will now see you next time. Until then, as always, peace and love.